Hello and welcome to another episode of the MiamiHal Real Estate Show. It's a special edition because I have two guests here, two great guests, and today's topic is something that I'm sure is on many people's mind. It is the airport, Miami International Airport. So to my immediate right, I have the county mayor, Daniella Levine Cava, and then next to her, I have the director and CEO of the Miami-Dade Aviation Department. That's your long title, right, Ralph Cutié?
That's correct, yes.
The short title is you're in charge of the airport.
That's correct.
And so we've got the two top people we could possibly have, and we're going to spend a good deal of time discussing what's going on at the airport, what we can expect in the future, and how our international city is truly going to have an international and world-class airport coming forward. So thank you very much for being here. It's really impressive that we're trying to take on the airport. And I'm going to give you my perspective. I know you already are doing a roadshow of what this airport is supposed to be like. And that's going to be an ongoing effort for 10 years. Is that correct? The next 10 years? Or are we down to 9 at this point?
It's 10 to 15 years total overall, but we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years.
Good. And we're not talking small figures of money that are going to go toward this project. If I have the breakdown correct, it's $7 billion on capital improvements and $1.7 million going to $1 billion rather, going to maintenance upgrades. So we're
talking $9 billion.
$9 billion of money going into that airport. And I think, Mayor, I'll start with you. This is really something that you championed for. So tell us how we got to this point where you said, hey, we're going to do this, and now there's money behind it.
Well, Hal, it's great to be with you again. And thank you for taking up this important conversation. Our airport is our #1 economic engine in the county. It's a first impression for our visitors, and it needs to function well for all of our passengers, our locals as well. And definitely the airport was in need of some love. So it needed a facelift. It needs modernization, as they call it, a new terminal, new hotel, new parking garage, new jet bridges, bathroom upgrades, etc.
Sounds like everything.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So it's not a new airport, so we have to maintain it. And just like your car or your house, you need to take care of it. And this airport had suffered from several years of neglect. And so it was on me as the mayor when I realized the severe nature and the fact that we also are growing at such a rapid pace that we can't just fix things, we need to anticipate for the future.
Yeah. I read something in preparation for this. Last year, you had 56 million passengers roll through the airport. Is that correct?
Yes, it's been growing by leaps and bounds, and we can give you all the figures, but definitely the fastest growing in the country. And we had 10% year-over-year growth for a couple of years. Let's see what happens this year. We are number what in terms of total passengers for the country, Ralph?
We're the second busiest airport in the United States for international passengers and 10th busiest airport in the United States for total overall passengers.
Wow.
As far as cargo, which is another huge aspect of it, right? Trade and logistics, we're number 3 in the U.S. and in the world, the whole world, we are number 6 for cargo.
Wow. And I was going to get to that. 3 million tons of cargo went through the airport last year. It's kind of a hidden business, right? As a passenger going to and from various locations, you don't even think about what else the airport is supporting, and it's supporting a lot of commerce.
Yes, so that's also why it's the economic engine. Obviously, it's for travel and lots of visitors. Tourism is still our #1 industry, but it's also commerce and trade. We've had to grow to meet the need. There's not that much space right on property. So we've actually purchased additional properties. We're actually building the first in the country multi-level cargo facility, the Vic.
Ah, okay. It's got initials already, Vic.
Yes.
And overall, the airport as an economic engine, again, if I have my figures correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, $118 billion for the state of Florida last year.
That's correct. It's $118 billion in business revenue and more than 700,000 jobs. That's our annual economic impact to the region and to the county and the state.
How do you kind of come up with that number? I mean, 118 billion is obviously an impressive number.
Sure.
But, how does the airport in Miami affect things in Tallahassee, for example?
Well, as an example, so a lot of our cargo that comes in, I mean, one example, 91% of all the flowers that come into the entire United States come in through MIA. So that results in not only a local impact, but a regional impact, a state impact, and an impact to the United States. Because if it's 91% of the flowers that come into the U.S., those flowers arrive at our airport and then they get trucked to wherever they have to go around the country. 64% of the food
With Mother's Day coming up, you can imagine.
Yeah. Mother's Day. Thank you for reminding me. I really wanted to kind of look at this from an average person's perspective. And obviously, we're going to get a lot of technical and important numbers out while I have this discussion with you. I want to start from the outside in. So how do people get to and from MIA? Because I think that if you look at what I do, the first thing I think about is my car. I'm going to drive to the airport. And that's not necessarily what is going to bring the airport to the next level. What can we do to get people to the airport without their car?
Well, first, let me say something about parking at the airport. We need another parking garage, and we're ahead of schedule, I believe, on the new parking garage, which is called the Ibis, by the way. So we already have the flamingo and the dolphin, but now we'll have the Ibis. And that will, of course, be a huge pressure valve release for us. But in the meantime, Ralph and his team, and me included, are monitoring parking for all of the busy days and weekends and weeks to make sure, and putting out the word on those occasions, please find a way to come to the airport without parking your car. But we've been able to keep up with the demand. So Ralph, tell us what we're doing.
Sure. So one of the things we do, especially during our busiest seasons, for example, spring break, Formula One, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we start putting out messaging weeks in advance to make sure that, and we advise passengers, look, we're busy. Our new garage, as the mayor said, is on schedule, but it won't come online until later this year in the holidays. So we advise our passengers to take alternate modes of transportation, such as Uber, Lyft, etc., or to get dropped off by friends, or to use transit. I mean, we have a transit connection. If you take the green line to the orange line will connect at the Arlington Heights station to the MIA station, and you can actually train to the airport. So we're very active putting out that messaging.
And by the way, employees too. We have 35,000 employees at the airport. About 1,500 are county employees, but the rest, all the concessions, all of the commercial businesses out there, 35,000 people coming and going for work.
Do they park in the regular garages, or where do employees and county people park?
Just about most of our employees park in our at-grade employee parking lot. And then we have some employees, something like for some Customs and Border Protection employees do park in our garages. It's a smaller number. But the bulk of our employees park in our employee parking lot. And obviously, when the new parking garage comes on board, that'll add another 2,240 spaces, which will be, like the mayor said, a big relief when it comes to parking. I mean, it'll take us to about 11,000 spaces in our inventory.
But that was important for me, that we make room for our customers and not have our regular employees utilizing those lots.
So again, I understand the airport has been around forever, so to speak. And
100 years in 3 years. We got a 100-year anniversary in 3 years.
Wow. Okay. Almost 100 years.
Yep.
I think transportation has changed a little bit in those years. Plus, obviously, our population has exploded. There are some connections, I'll call them. Brightline, Tri-Rail, and Amtrak all kind of terminate at the rental car center. And then there are shuttles to go from there to the actual airport. It's a solution. Is it the final solution? Are there better ways to get people like directly to the airport that you're thinking about, or maybe it's already being implemented?
I mean, currently we're implementing some of the things we already mentioned. So yeah, we have Tri-Rail connects to the airport at our MIC, at our Miami Intermodal Center. And then from there, they can shuttle into the airport, or they can take our Mia Mover. Once you get to the MIC, you can take our Mia Mover train, which connects the MIC to our terminal. And a lot of people use that train to get in when they come in from, somewhere far away. So it's been very successful, the Mia Mover. And that's an alternate form of transportation that gets used a lot by our passengers.
And what about the vertiports coming into the future?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, one very exciting technology, which the mayor's been very supportive of, is eVTOL, electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, which is, if we're going to date ourselves, it's like the Jetsons. So these are very environmentally friendly vehicles that have anywhere from 12 to 14 electric engines. which are powered by electricity, and they can vertically take off and land and take passengers either under the regional mobility model to and from different cities like Naples, West Palm, the Key West, et cetera, or an urban air mobility model, which will take them within the city, like to the Miami Beach Convention Center, et cetera. So we have several vertiport sites that we've identified at MIA because we want to be kind of on the ground floor when the technology takes off. It's still pending FAA approval, but there's 9 or 10 companies out there that have already, have these vehicles operational. So
there's a lot of projections in whether or not that's going to take off and when it, pardon the pun, and exactly when that would hit. Do you have a sense of, is that a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan? How far out is that?
It's funny. I've been asked that question before. All of it hinges on getting FAA approval because these vehicles will transport anywhere from 5 to 7 human beings along with their luggage in these vehicles. So first of all, they have to work out what we call CONOPS, the concept of operations, which is essentially how these vehicles would interact with our traditional mainline aircraft. Because all these vehicles, I think their height limitation is anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 feet. But our aircraft cross that threshold when they're taking off and landing. So there has to be a very safe and very detailed development of that concept of operations, which has to be approved by the FAA, et cetera, along with the vehicles themselves. So I would say it's probably a few years away, a couple of years, but we're preparing in advance. So we're in on the ground floor. And again, the mayor established a task force with our former BCC chair to make sure that we're on the ground floor and that we're in conversations with these firms, which is a very, very smart thing to do because we're ahead of other airports.
Yeah, it seems like we're pretty far ahead in thought. Yeah. And one other thing that just crossed my mind, it seems to me like a lot of people that come to Miami International Airport, their destination is to go have fun in the sun, which really means Miami Beach. And so is there any way to get people from the airport out to Miami Beach without clogging up some of our very congested roadways already? What are your thoughts there?
We do have some bus service that goes direct. So why don't you say a little more?
Sure. So we have a Miami Beach Express bus line that takes passengers from the airport to the beach. I think it carries anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 passengers a day, which is a decent amount. Yeah. So that's one. Obviously, we would love to have rail. That would be the ideal, but rail is very expensive. But for now, we have 8 or 9 bus routes that serve MIA proper, and one of them goes directly to the beach. And like you said, a lot of the people that come here, they come for fun in the sun and to visit our beaches, and we encourage them to do that. So between Uber, Lyft, and the buses, I think we do a pretty good, decent job.
So also, we have a partnership with a nonprofit that we helped to establish called MDIA, Miami-Dade Innovation Authority. They've issued a number of challenges to the private sector for innovation that would help us in county challenges. And one is navigation at the airport. So it would be navigation within the airport as well as to get out of the airport.
Correct.
So there was a pilot and a project was approved.
That's correct.
And now are we getting ready to procure?
Now we're pursuing the procurement or looking into how we would best procure that technology because there was 3, we had 3 firms that had pilots. We chose one, as the mayor said, and we're trying to determine how best to procure that solution, which, as the mayor mentioned, it'll guide you through the airport. It's very easy to use and then get you in and out and get you to the form of transportation that you need to go wherever you need to go.
It can be intimidating if you don't know your way around.
For sure.
So this is designed to be, I think, in multiple languages, yes. And it can speak to you. So it's really very adaptive technology, and it was very popular. The people that have tested it were very happy with it.
Yeah.
We talked about how we were going to start outside the airport. We're going to work our way in. One or two more questions on the outside. If you drive on the Dolphin, you just see this stadium rising out of the ground for soccer. There's going to be some hotels there. There's going to be a beautiful park there. And my assumption is for certainly around game time, you're going to have a lot of activity between the airport and people trying to get to the stadium. What's been thought about there and how is that going to be handled as this stadium opens?
So it's a city project, right, in a city park on city land approved by the voters, but the traffic studies need to be approved by the county. So we're still working with the developers exactly how to get people in and out that does not interfere with airport traffic. Also, they have agreed to do a pedestrian overpass to come from the MIC So that will help alleviate. But as far as exactly how the traffic will get in and out, that's still under development.
And you're using 3-letter acronyms. The MIC is the rental car center.
Correct.
And it also has terminuses for the trains, right?
Correct.
So it's literally across one of the streets. I forget which one.
I think it's 21st Street.
21st Street to get to the new stadium that will be completed relatively soon. So there's now a pedestrian bridge so people could actually get there.
They've said that they would do it. And
Yeah, we've been
we're
working with the
counting on
team.
that.
And hopefully that the plan is that they would build that so that you could take some of the traffic off the road for people, let's say from Broward, they're going to be
Right.
coming down and trying.
Apparently, soccer fans like to walk, we're told.
Good. I hope that's
Yes.
the case.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to ask a silly question as we head inside. If I'm coming to the airport, the roadways start having signage, departures, arrivals, and the first terminal you get to is D. What?
I want to know the answer to this question as
Thank
well.
you, Ralph. We're both asking you the question: why do we
Okay.
come to Terminal D first?
So
concourse D.
our terminals were renamed years ago from the A's and B's to D, E, F, G, H, and J, and now our new project is going to be Concourse K, which is the first terminal expansion. So it's very scientific. It's the next letter in the alphabet. Why?
Yeah, but you started with
Why we
D.
started with why it's D? I mean, I can't answer that question. That was before my time. But
It's
I mean,
historic. You're going to have to
Okay.
make it a special bonus.
I just
Yeah.
figured I'd put some levity into the show.
sure,
Because every time I drive there, I laugh a little bit. It's
because
like,
it's D.
did they just not finish A, B, and C? So here we are. We already kind of touched upon parking, but I do want to finish there as well. The current capacity, and talk to us about what is current capacity, and you're talking about the new IBIS garage that's going to add capacity. It's not just a small amount of addition.
No.
Please tell us how large that garage
Sure.
really is.
So our current capacity is around 9,000, a little bit over 9,000 spaces total. The new garage is going to add another 2,240 spaces to our inventory, which is huge.
Mm.
So that, as the mayor mentioned, will really go a long way towards resolving our parking issues. And the mayor will tell you, she and I are on the phone when things like that happen, like every half an hour, and I keep her up to date on where we're at. I mean, sometimes
And
we're
what signage are we putting out? And
Right.
are we even posting people to direct folks to the right garage? We really go way out to make sure people
Yeah.
have a positive experience.
our landside operations folks do they do a yeoman's work making sure that when the garage is full, they start directing people to our employee economy lot, to the MIC, where we have some spaces available. But ultimately, that garage will be the solution. The great news about it, not only is it going to add spaces, but it's going to add 50 EV charging stations. It's going to be rated the equivalent of LEED Silver for regular commercial buildings. For parking garages, there's a special category, so it's going to be very environmentally friendly. It's going to have LED lighting, so it's going to really be a crown jewel as far as our garages are concerned. Then ultimately, it'll be wrapped along with our other garages in a stainless steel cladding that'll have an aesthetically and architectural design. So when you come up on Central Boulevard now, you'll see the garages, as opposed to how you will see it now, they'll be wrapped in a very aesthetically pleasing stainless steel design along with our new hotel. So when the hotel's up, as you come up on Central Boulevard, up to the departures on the second floor, it'll have a very signature 305 Miami look that'll really catch your eye and beautify the entrance to the airport. So we're excited about that.
And when is the garage supposed to come online?
By the end of this year, December of this year, we're pushing the contractor to see if they can do it sooner, but they have done really, really good work. The mayor and I had a site visit there probably about a couple of months ago, and they had the final slab topped off and poured then. So what they're doing now is all the internal stuff. So, I mean, we're excited. But if they can I'm hoping they can get it done by the Christmas holidays and give us some relief at that time. But, I mean, we're excited about the garage. It's a 7-story garage, state-of-the-art, and it's much needed.
And it will connect.
And it will connect to the Flamingo.
To the
Okay.
Flamingo garage.
A little bit of point of pain. So I probably use the airport 8 to 10 times a year. And typically I am one of those people who you probably don't like, the one that goes to the garage and parks.
That's okay.
I don't know,
I'd
we
love to go
understand.
there by public transportation, but right now that's the way it is best for me. And when I get in there, I have to typically take a walk to get to where I'm going. And it's kind of old school. There's a blue line, there's a red line, there's a yellow line. And sometimes those lines just kind of randomly stop. And sometimes it leads you to an elevator that's not functioning. And there's no signage to say where to go from there, even though it says, we're hard at work or whatever it says. Tell me about the existing garages and upgrades that will happen there. so that in concert, when the new garage opens, hopefully things are functioning a lot better.
Well, I'm going to let Ralph talk to you about colored lines. I don't know much about that.
Okay.
But I will tell you that the elevators, escalators, and moving sidewalks have become my daily mantra. And what do I know about those things? A lot now.
We're going to get to that in a
Okay,
second, but
so
let's finish with the garage.
with the
Ralph, tell
lines.
us about
Well, only because there are garage elevators
Agreed,
too. Okay.
agreed.
So we have a wayfinding signage program that will revamp how you move through not only the terminal but through our garages as well. So that that's going to be part of our capital program that will lead you to elevators that are working, et cetera. So that's part of the whole part of our whole capital program will be ways to direct you within the garages to get your fastest mode of travel. Now the garages do have a brand new parking and guidance system. So when you come into the garage, it'll tell you how many spaces are available in monument signs, where those spaces are. When you go up to those floors, it's got lights that'll point you where the spaces are. So we come a long way with using technology, and the new garage will have that same technology. So it'll be able to guide you through the garage, so you can get through more efficiently. And then ultimately, like as the mayor mentioned, once you've gotten through the garage, you will get to an elevator that works. And I know we're going to get into that now, but we've made a lot of progress in the conveyance front over the last year and a half.
Great. Now let's get to the airport itself, because we've parked or we've come in by train and we're ready to go in. First of all, the outside of the airport seems to me right now it's kind of a hodgepodge look. Obviously, each of the terminals was done at different times.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a new one that you said is J.
K.
K. Okay, it's going after J. Right. Alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
So, you said the garage was going to be clad in something that was 305 look. Will the airport itself on the outside change its look?
Absolutely. So as part of Central Terminal redevelopment, Central Terminal is our oldest terminal. So North Terminal and South Terminal are our newest terminals. They're only about 20 plus years old. Central Terminal is about 78 years old. So that's what we call lovingly the horseshoe, which it encompasses concourses E, F, and G, and a little portion of H. So Central Terminal redevelopment, which phase one of it is already under design, and phase two, we're getting ready to award the design contract in the next month or two. Once that is done, not only will it change the interior of Central Terminal, but it will also upgrade the exterior facade of the entire terminal. So you're going to see I wish I could show you the renderings if I had them handy. But the entire outside of the terminal, as you're pulling up, will not be that brown steel that you see now.
Yeah.
It'll all be revamped and totally new. And that's part of the Central Terminal redevelopment project. Again, it's 78 years old. It's our oldest terminal, and it's the one that's in the greatest need of some TLC. So that's part of that project.
So just to be clear, when I go there, often I take photographs.
And I get them.
Ralph, you get
Ralph
them, don't
gets
you?
them.
I get them.
And can we do some pressure cleaning? Can we find some slats for the missing slats? Obviously, we don't want to put too much money into it because
it'll
we're
all
going
be
to have,
redone. Yeah.
yes, this upgrade. But yes, clearly it looks a little tired. We know that. And we're hoping that the experience inside, which will be very much better, quicker, will also be a welcome for all of our passengers.
All right. So we go in the doors, whatever terminal we're going into. And again, the feel as a customer of the airport is you get in there and the typical things are there. You can go to these kiosks to make sure you get your baggage tags and make sure your ticketing is set up and all that stuff. But I also kind of feel like the TSA has kind of almost pushed forward and it's almost at the door. So the minute you walk in, you see a line here for standard security. You see another one for TSA pre. Is that experience going to change for us?
Absolutely. So go back and use the example of Central Terminal. Part of both of those projects will be consolidated checkpoints. Yeah. What is that? If you've been to New Orleans Airport lately, they just revamped Louis Armstrong Airport not too long ago. The industry has proven that individual checkpoints like what we have are not as efficient to move passengers. So anytime you can improve passenger throughput, and let's say you save a minute off every passenger times 56 million passengers, that's an exponential improvement. So Central Terminal will include consolidated checkpoints, which will be huge checkpoints with a lot of screening equipment, which the industry tells us that moves passengers quicker. So that is one tremendous upgrade that'll help move passengers more efficiently in a much more user-friendly way than what they have now. So that's something we're excited about. TSA's on board with it. We're going to be purchasing new equipment, etc. So that's in the works.
By the way, our wait time at TSA is much better than average.
Sixth best in the country.
Sixth best in the country. Okay.
I'll tell you, out of the things that I've noticed, TSA is not necessarily one of the problem points.
Yeah.
One of the problem points, at least again for me, is you get past the TSA screening and you're in the terminal looking for your gate and making sure that your plane is still at that gate. And immediately after the TSA, there's no board. You actually have to walk in Terminal D, if I'm not mistaken, to the right by a good deal in order to see a board. My assumption is you guys have a solution for that, where people can actually see what they need to see right after TSA screening.
Sure. Our wayfinding program will include flight information display screens, what we call FID screens. We try to place them strategically where we get the most foot traffic so people can see where their gates are. As far as aircraft changing gates, that ends up being an airline issue depending on either gate availability or weather sometimes plays into when gates are swapped. But we work very closely with our airline partners to try to minimize the impact of that to the operation.
And just to say, that's why we're adding gates, because it is very tight, the number of gates that we have.
Yes.
We have almost 100 airlines, which is more than any other airport in the country.
And Kay will, I assume, help us solve some of that problem.
That's correct. K will include 6 additional domestic narrow body gates, 3 of which will ultimately in the future become international capable. So that'll help us with that volume growth. That's the idea.
I don't know if you're going to talk about internal maintenance, but something.
We're getting there.
Okay. I have a lot to say about that.
Good. You know what? Let's get there now.
Okay.
So, once you're in the terminal, you need to get from TSA to where you're going. And the way the airport is laid out, there's a lot of walking to do. And of course, there are various ways to minimize some of that walking. So there's walkways that are moving walkways. There's escalators to go up and down rather than having to walk up and down stairs. There's elevators. So, Mayor, I know it's one of your main points that you'd like to
Well, because it's a
emphasize
pain
here.
point, right? When you have, we were a little over a year ago at about 85% operating, but now we're at 95%,
Okay,
which is
that's
well
better.
within industry standards. Of course, we'd like it to be 100%, but there's a good number of them that had to be totally replaced. I like to tell the story of on one of my tours when they showed me a 69-year-old escalator. And I am 69 years old.
And we've got some video playing right now.
Yes,
So
yes.
Yep.
These things take an extraordinary amount of work, but also they require equipment that is not readily available, and you cannot swap parts out from one company to another. It's all proprietary. So especially in the pandemic, when we had supply chain issues, there was a big delay in getting the necessary parts. So we are making great progress now, 95%. That's very good, but we're not satisfied. How many are being actually totally replaced? We call it modernization.
Right now, the cadence we're shooting for is about 30 modernizations, which is the term of art in the industry for replacement every year. And
30 per year.
30 per year, which is excellent.
Yeah, and then we have to maintain it. Like we say, it's not just fixing the ones that were
Correct.
held together with chewing gum and Band-Aids, which is really the 69-year-old one had been working until shortly before I saw it. So these things are supposed to last 25, maybe 30 years at best, but they really had been maintained without a commitment to the kind of work that we are now doing. I want to emphasize something here. This work that we're doing at the airport benefits from some federal grants, some state grants, but at the base, the airlines themselves have to invest. And so they got on board when we said, we have to do something different here. Modernization in Action, MIA, was launched where we put signage and there's a QR code and everything can be tracked. What's the progress? But then we launched something really important called I Am MIA to create a sense of pride and momentum in our 35,000 person workforce. We want they're walking around too. They're dealing with all the same issues as the passengers. And we wanted them to know that we are making a real investment in them. And in the future, we want them to be part of it. So we are doing customer service training, all 35,000 employees. And we also hired a special lightning crew that goes around finds the little things. You don't have to put in a work order. You just get to work. Replace the light bulb, the ceiling tile that's falling out,
Carpet.
the carpet that is shredding, the curbs that are misaligned, whatever it is. They are out there with their little carts fixing things, and brings a great source of joy to me.
Now, are there metrics around that? Because I have noticed things have gotten quite a bit better with the little things. So, I mean, how do you incentivize those employees to kind of find those things, and how does that process work, if you will?
Well, to the mayor's point, I think the pride of ownership that when we started the IMMIA program went a long way towards doing that with our employees. I think it motivated a lot of our employees, especially the ones on the lightning crew, to go out and do what they do. So how do we measure it? Well, now we have less work orders that get created. So before we had X number of work orders that were created, and now we see that number of work orders diminishing because things are being addressed before they become a work order. And a lot of these lightning crew staff, they're getting the work done again before it even becomes a work order. So before anybody can go and see a light out or a faucet not working or a ceiling tile that needs to be replaced, it's replaced ahead of time. So then that's one less work order that goes into the system that has to be tracked to completion, et cetera. So we've seen a significant improvement in that. We've also seen a significant improvement as far as complaints that we get on social media. Our strategic marketing and communications and social media team, we track all of those complaints. We take them all very seriously. We don't shy away from them or ignore them. And we've seen a significant reduction in the number of complaints we get as well.
Also cleanliness,
Right.
especially during the busy season. There's a lot of trash and bathrooms get dirty. And so we actually are replacing our contracts for the cleaning companies. And honestly, they're going to be hiring more because the demand is greater. So we're going to be paying more, right? The old contract only covered a certain amount, which was not sufficient. So now we're going to be doing more to maintain cleanliness as well.
So it seems like you're doing a lot of good things with the vision in the near future to have a new outside, a new terminal, a central hub that is going to take care of a lot of the TSA pain points. In the meantime, again, personal experience, I came back on an international flight maybe 2 months ago, and it was late at night. The customs process was wonderful, got through a lot quicker than I expected, which was great. Then we waited for our bags, and we waited for our bags, and we waited for our bags, and it got to be a late hour, and you know, it wasn't a short amount of time, but it wasn't an angering amount of time. We picked up our bags and we headed almost in abandoned corridors to try to get out of the airport. And one of the escalators was not functioning. So there was a sign that pointed us to the elevator. And we went to the elevator and got in, and I think we were on level 3. And of course, instinctively, I pressed 1. That's the ground, but I want to get out. And the elevator got out on 1, and there's like a white, corridor with no signage at all. And we walked around a little bit and went to a door, and it said emergency use only. I said, well, then let's not do that. Back to the elevator. It took us a while to get out. Obviously, there are some things that maybe the lightning crew or somebody else should be looking at.
Sure.
We're going to end up with great signage, but what happens to those types of situations? How should somebody report that if they have an experience like that?
You can feel free to send me an email, and we will jump right on that with the location where it happened. We get emails all the time. The mayor gets constituent emails that she gets, which we have staff assigned to not only respond, but to look into them and make sure that those issues are taken care of. So,
we do have a general complaint
yes,
place to go. I mean, not everybody has access to my contact information or to Ralph's.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious about what you're describing. One thing that we've done is we've assigned staff, maybe not at 2 a.m, but we've assigned staff to go inside security to assist navigating. If it's a line here, where is there less of a line, or if the escalator's not working, because some of these things are spot. And actually escalators have now a, what's it called? A Bluetooth notification if they stop. So explain about that.
Sure. So we're in the process of working, I think, over 100 of our conveyance units. Let me start with some perspective. Like
Please.
the entire county, all of the county's facilities combined have 1,200 plus or minus conveyance units, which is elevators, escalators, and moving walks. 616 of them are at the airport. So more than half are at MIA. And I can promise you, none of the county's facilities take the wear and tear, as the mayor mentioned, as our units do, because we're a 24/7 operation. So the average lifespan of a conveyance unit in an airport environment is anywhere from maybe 25 years, 30 years max. That's the most. So, but what we're doing is we're trying to leverage technology. So one of the programs that we started pushing forward a couple of years ago is installing sensors in our conveyance units so that when they go down, they signal our airport operations center. And our chief of innovation is working very hard on that. So the ultimate goal is this. We have a new airport operations center, which is one of our capital projects. And that will have a dashboard in there, which will have hopefully 616 green lights. And the idea being that when a unit, we want to be predictive with maintenance, not reactive like we are now. So the idea would be, and we're starting to get closer and closer. Once we have the AOC up and running, we're getting ready to issue the design, the construction contract for that now. But the idea would be that the sensors will automatically signal. So right now what they do in the 100 plus that we've tested them on, when the unit is down, it'll send a signal to our AOC that it's down. Ultimately, to be predictive, what we want to do is before the unit goes down, it's like your check engine light in your car. It'll signal our operations center that, listen, this unit needs work, so somebody can get to it before it goes down.
But also sometimes it just needs to be reset.
Correct.
So that is important. So then they go out, and I know there was one particular that somebody wrote me about,
Yep.
same situation like you had, and it turned out that unit was functional, but it had temporarily gone down. So they were able to reactivate it. So we do need to know, but we do have, not on all of them, but a good number of them now, that automatic sensor to notify us. But the other thing I'm curious about is the signage and going into an area where there's no signage. So we definitely want to know what that area is. But of course, we're also beautifying. There is an incredible beautification effort. I'm in love with it. I want it to be airport wide. Could you explain that?
Sure. So in our baggage claim areas, typically they're very bland, et cetera. So what we've done, we've started working with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've implemented a beautification program in baggage claim, which has scenes kind of like what you have here, scenes of Miami, Vizcaya, the beaches, et cetera. And they're really, really beautiful. So
yeah, you could just walk into them. You feel like you're there.
So as you're waiting there for your baggage, you have very nice views of Miami. It's as opposed to just a blind wall. So that's really a great project we're working on. And Andrea's taken the lead on that and done a tremendous job. And we continue to work on finalizing that. So that's one thing we've done. And just on conveyances in general, we're really making good progress, as the mayor mentioned. So we really put a focus on that because we recognize the fact that nobody likes an elevator not working or an escalator not working.
Tell them about baggage. What are the causes of baggage delay?
Typically, so the baggage delay, it's almost never anything wrong with the system. That's very rare. I mean, we have a brand new baggage system that we operate, and then American handles their own bags. Typically, what handles when bags are delayed is that you may have multiple. I mean, the airline industry functions like dominoes. It's almost like a Swiss watch. So when you have multiple flights that are delayed, and you are coming from different places, and you have maybe 5 or 6 flights arrive at one time, the staff on the ramp for the airlines that have to unload those bags, which is still a human operation, they get overwhelmed.
Those pesky humans.
I mean, when you have 5 or 6 flights come in at one time, and that could be a result of weather, mechanical failure somewhere else, whether at the departure point, whether where we are, there's multiple reasons. So when you have those kind of delays, then you may have the bags back up because of that. Now, I will tell you, we've made significant improvements in that as well, because lately our complaints when it comes to bags, and I get those, whether it's phone calls, emails, the airlines get them, those have come down a lot as well. But again, those are, like as the mayor mentioned, those are some of the root causes of baggage delays.
It sounds like you guys have a lot of the complaints in mind with solutions.
Yes.
So
absolutely. We're listening and acting.
Good. And that leads me to something that I thought was really interesting. The drive to bring AI into the operations, particularly in signage and getting people around. And I didn't read the full details, but you had kind of a contest. Hey, which technology could be useful at the airport? And you selected 3, RouteMe, Synapse, and Mapstead. And if you guys could run through what each of those is supposed to do, because we're
Yes.
we're speaking in English today.
Well,
we
we
are
did
an
mention
international
it
airport.
before. This was a project with the
Yeah.
Miami-Dade Innovation Authority.
Mhm.
3 were selected. They each got $100,000 to pilot, and one was proven to
I
be
forget
the
which
most
one of the 3 it
successful.
was that got selected, but yeah, one of those 3 that you mentioned was selected to try to move forward and procure.
Well, they're great names. So what do they do? So
Tip,
Yeah.
what essentially they all kind of do very similar is guiding you through the airport. I mean, the airport can be a very intimidating place, especially let's say for somebody that's elderly. I mean, some more context. The biggest office building in the entire world is the Pentagon, and it's 6 million square feet. We're 10 million square feet. So 8.5 million of that is air conditioned, and the other 1.5 million is ramp space.
And
So it's an
jokingly,
intimidating
it's
place.
very well air conditioned. A lot of times
Yes.
I get out of a plane and I'm like, it's a meat locker in here.
Well, people prefer that to the heat. So yes, you're right. And that also helps when we have any kind of issue with an AC. We have more time to fix it because the AC
that
will
makes
stay cool
sense.
in the airport.
Yeah.
But to your point, that I mean, when it comes to it can be an intimidating place, even for a young person. I mean, you get to an airport, you're navigating 8.5 million square feet of airport. So those technologies give you the ability with your phone or with your laptop to kind of just guide yourself through the airport. And once you log on, it makes it very simple. I mean, I'm the
It
least tech
finds
guy.
you.
Right.
It tells you where you
Where
are.
you are.
You don't have to say where you are.
So
And guides you through.
Yeah.
This is going to be tied into an app that you can have on your personal
Eventually.
phone. And so I think that one of the things that I'm understanding is, typically you think of a sign, okay? There's a stop sign at a roadway. Well, it says stop all the time. But what I believe you guys are alluding to is the fact that when you go to the airport, the signs will be digital and therefore changeable when things are happening,
Correct.
right? So if, for example, the elevator to my left is not functioning because one of your green lights turned red, it'll say, no, elevator's to the right. And it'll just be that time for the temporary time that it takes for you to repair elevator to the left, right?
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Let me mention, this airport is considered one of the most energy efficient
Mhm.
in the world.
Did
And
not know.
yes, and that is a priority for me. You might know I am a very big environmentalist. So the airport, you say it's very cold. Well, we're converting to solar on the roofs of the airport. So we're reducing our energy footprint. We've also, of course, LED lighting, other things that we're
Correct.
doing. We now have a chief resilience officer at the airport. They work also on things like fuel to make sure that we're moving into more energy efficient fuel systems, runway issues, a whole host of things. So people can be proud of the fact that we are reducing our carbon footprint at the airport.
There was one other thing that I saw that I definitely want to highlight. It was actually probably almost a year ago now, I think, where I got off the plane and there was a autonomous wheelchair rolling down the center of the concourse, and I was pretty impressed. And I came to learn it's a first in the country.
First in the country.
Okay, so tell us about that, because that's really cool.
Well, we like to be first, in good things. And also, we do have an innovation officer at the airport, Maurice Jenkins, who has been recognized worldwide as the top innovation airport person. So we're very proud of the things that he helps bring to the airport.
Correct.
And so I don't know exactly how we got these autonomous wheelchairs, but yeah, we're the first, and they seem to be pretty popular. So
A
say
lot of
more.
people, we get great comments about those wheelchairs. It's a pilot with American Airlines. I think we have 10 of them roaming around, and you can just call them with an app. And once you get in, you can tell them exactly where you want to go, and they will take you and stop. So it's not like they'll run over somebody. They have the technology where they can stop when something gets in their way, and then they'll continue on their way. But for a person that's mobility challenged, it's a great option.
It doesn't mean that we don't still need the people that push the wheelchairs, but the demand is very great and the wait can be long. So this contributes to a good customer service.
Any other innovations we need to hear about at the airport that are either implemented now or coming up real soon?
Sure. We have innovations in all of our projects. I mean, we have sustainability and resilience and innovative items built into every project. But one example is our passenger loading bridges. That's something we're very proud of. So we are in the process of replacing all of our passenger loading bridges. That's the first thing a passenger sees when they get off an aircraft. So We've already replaced like 32 of them. 2 of them are glass. So we tried a pilot with 2 glass bridges, one at H17 and one at gate D12 or D14, I'm sorry. And we've gotten so much great feedback on that. So if you ever fly to Europe, a lot of the major airports in Europe have glass loading bridges. Why are they good? Number one, they're very energy efficient. One, they last longer than a steel bridge because glass doesn't rust. But what I consider one of the most important things is it really changes the customer experience, because when you're stuck in a loading bridge, and we've all been there waiting to get on your flight.
Claustrophobic.
It's claustrophobic when you feel like you're stuck in a metal tube, but when you can look outside and have a beautiful view of the airfield and aircraft taking off and landing, that distracts a passenger from the frustration of being stuck in a tube waiting to board their flight. So right now we have 2 glass bridges. We have made the decision to go all glass from now on. So we have 10 glass bridges. We just awarded a contract last month. Those are under fabrication right now. We will start installing the first couple, hopefully by the end of this year, and we're going to go glass moving forward. So we already replaced 32, 2 of them glass. All the future ones will be glass. So in the next 6, 7, 8 years, the plan is that we're going to replace all of them. That's a $235 million investment just in loading bridges. So that's one innovation which, we're trying to put us on a par with how Europe does it. And it's all hurricane glass. It's safe. It's, code approved here. And we've gotten so much great feedback from passengers for those. And they're beautiful. When you look at them both inside and out, they're beautiful.
Mention about D60.
Sure.
So this is a part of the airport where a lot of the smaller planes, and including, for example, folks flying in and out of Tallahassee. So you can imagine our elected officials.
Oh, that might be you.
Well, yes, but not as often as it is for our state reps and state senators. So they naturally would like to see improvements, and they're quite vocal about it. So what are we doing?
Sure. So D60 is one of the jewels in our CIP. It's a $900+ million.
CIP is our
capital improvement program.
Thank you.
So that project, we are going to go to our airline committee now in May for their approval. And then ultimately, once they do that, we will continue and finalize what we call the design criteria package over the next year. So we can put out the design build package sometime in summer of 26. So we can be breaking ground in summer of 27. And what that project is going to do is right now, you have to go outside at D60 to board your aircraft. So you're exposed to the elements. It's not the best way to travel. It's kind of short ceiling. It's run down. The new D60, again, I wish I had the renderings that would blow you away because they're beautiful. It's going to have it's multi-level facility at that gate. It's going to have all natural light. It's going to have 17 loading bridges, all glass, contact gates. So you won't have to be exposed to the elements. But on top of all that, it'll have about 30,000 square feet of concession space. So you're going to have a lot of, nice concessions there, food and beverage and retail opportunities. Right now, you have one magazine store with some snacks, and that's it. So D60 will be hopefully under construction by summer of 27 and be completed by end of 2030. Sounds like a long time, but we're almost in the middle of 2025. So in the next 4.5, 5 years, you'll have a brand new D60. By 2029, we'll have a brand new Concourse K, and by 2031, we'll have a brand new central terminal. So what I tell people is, in the next 5 or 6 years, our airport is going to be transformed just with those projects. And our capital improvement program is more than 200 projects. But those big ones will totally change the look of our airport. And that's something we're excited about.
Great. The mayor has one more important topic that we want to get to in just a second, but you mentioned something, height of D60.
Yes.
And in a lot of areas of the airport, I feel like you're a tall guy too.
Yep.
It's like I'm cramped in here. So the glass on the jet bridges is a great idea. You'll feel less claustrophobic.
Of course. Terminal K,
briefly, are we talking about multi-level there?
Yeah, it'll be multi-level, much higher ceilings. So K, again, with the renderings, don't do it justice because right now we're going to be awarding that contract in May. Our board we plan to award it in May, and then we're going to break ground in June. So the groundbreaking is right around the corner to get it started, and it'll be done by 2029. That project is going to have all natural glass, multi-levels. It's got multiple levels. It's going to include an additional 21,000 square feet for concessions as well, plus another 13 or 14,000 square feet for lounges, which is in big demand in the industry and a good amenity for our passengers. So Concourse K is going to be a state-of-the-art. Not only will it add the 6 gates that we need, but it'll be state-of-the-art facility, and it'll be built perpendicular to J, and we're very excited about that.
I do have to add, since Ralph brings up lounges, that something of which I'm proud is that we actually have a new lounge that is shared by 2 airlines.
That's correct.
That was no kind of easy. So please just say a little bit about that.
Sure. So that is a co-shared lounge over at J5, and the two airlines that are partnering in that is TAP Portugal and Avianca, the Colombian
nice.
airline. So the mayor was able to negotiate a very good deal, so that they both shared the lounge, and we just reopened it back like a couple of months ago, and it's very successful. Super.
Yeah, there isn't enough space for everybody
Right.
to have their own, and they each had their reasons for thinking that this was theirs, and so
Right.
now they're sharing.
Ralph, thank you so much for stopping in and
Sure.
giving us a lot of the details at the airport. And I'm sure people that are watching are very excited. And I'm certainly looking forward to a new Miami International Airport in the coming years.
So are we.
Thanks.
We're excited.
How are your teeth, Ralph?
Good. Good.
This is the topic that the mayor wanted
He
to
grew
make sure.
up here.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised here. Been with the county almost 35 years. 35 years in November. Director the last almost 4 years, and
So he had fluoride growing up.
That's what I want to get to.
my
So-
teeth are good.
Fluoride in the water. I mean, I did not grow up here. I've been here for about 20 years. And when I was growing up, there was fluoride in the water. And I don't really think about it past that. I just, it must be an aid that, is well thought about. And it's been like that forever, at least in my lifetime. So, Mayor, tell us what the issue is with fluoride in our water, apparently.
Yes. Well, I'm like you, took it for granted. And in fact, it is the industry norm to have fluoride in some form coming into your body to build the strength of your teeth. Fluoride is a natural element, it's not a chemical. And we know from talking to dentists and medical experts that it's not only safe, it's necessary. So places that gave it up, for example, had to bring it back because the rate of cavities increased substantially. There's even a lawsuit in one place by the public, outraged that they don't have fluoride, or they didn't have because it was restored. So we know that it's not just topical fluoride. Brushing your teeth with fluoride toothpaste is certainly good. It adds extra protection. Getting a fluoride treatment, as I do at my dentist, which, by the way, dental care is expensive.
No kidding.
And, so many people
Yeah.
do not have access to regular dental care, and especially for children who are not necessarily taking good care of their teeth, don't maybe have access to dental care. Fluoride in the water has proven to be successful at protecting their teeth. And if your teeth are if you have cavities and decay, it can lead to all kinds of other health issues, including hospitalizations and even death. So we don't want children to go to school with toothaches. We don't want parents to lose time at the job to take care of their kids. And honestly, there is no credible medical research evidencing a risk from the amount of fluoride that is put in the water. We go with a very, very small amount. That's what's been dictated over the years. It's natural already in county water. We have 0.2 parts per million existing in the natural water supply, and we round up to 0.7, which is what's recommended. And again, there's been no evidence at this level that there's really any health risk.
So what you've essentially laid out right now is a history of fluoride being in our water supply, both here and across the nation. The fact that it helps with cavities, keeping them down.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the controversy? Why are we having this conversation today? This is the part I kind of scratch my head on.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly a tendency to discredit medical science. And I think what's important is to listen to people who take care of our teeth. So I did convene a roundtable of dentists and pediatricians and those who are leaders in their profession to make sure that I understood thoroughly the risks and the benefits. And I really came away with a much deeper understanding. That kind of information is not being shared with the general public. So thank you for bringing it up. The county commission did not have a committee hearing on this matter. They rushed it at the board meeting. There were 3 members absent. I felt it was my responsibility, not only as mayor, but as a mother and as a grandmother, to take care of people's health. So if it's not broken, why fix it, if you will? So hopefully the commissioners will stand with me on May 6th, which is the date that they will review my veto.
And I can't imagine there is a dentist anywhere who will tell you other than, hey, fluoride's a good thing and it should be in our waters, correct?
Look, I'm sure that somewhere there is somebody, and even the head of the Dental Association here said, well, we could do some more up-to-date research just to show everybody. But in fact, we've had very comprehensive medically validated study recently in Australia. We have the anecdotal evidence of what happened in those communities that got rid of fluoride
Had to bring
and
it
then had to
back.
bring them back. So, do we welcome more scientific research? Of course we do. But should we eliminate it before doing that research? No, I don't think so. There's nothing to suggest that it would be beneficial. In fact, the opposite, it would be harmful.
Makes sense to me, and certainly doesn't seem to be really the place for political discussion.
Right.
It's really about
Yes.
people's health, and there should only be, one side to this: the proper research, the science, and the history of it being a beneficial thing in our water. So,
I hope that that's how it will end up, not only here locally, but at the state and at the federal levels as well.
you said it's May 6th that this
May
gets
6th,
decided.
the county commission.
Is there anything that a regular person can do to make sure their voices are heard before that May 6th?
Absolutely. I would say call your county commissioner and tell them where you stand. Show up. If you get there by 9 o'clock, that would be good. And sign up to speak. You'll have a brief moment, probably only a minute. It's supposed to be 2, but they often cut it to 1, to state your perspective and why you believe it's important.
But I think even if people don't show up at the phone in or email in,
Exactly. Sure.
there's at least an understanding of at the commissioner level of how important this is to people for it to continue.
Yes, I think so. And there were 3 commissioners not present, and there were commissioners that maybe weren't as adamant one side or the other. And again, they really did not hear from dental experts.
Well, you heard it here. The mayor definitely understands the research and supports the fluoride continuing in our water supply. We spent a good deal of time on the airport. I thank both of you for that. I'm excited. I wanna come back to my airport or head out from my airport and feel like I've got the best airport in the world. And there's some tremendous innovation that's coming to this airport. There's great examples around the world. I've been into Amsterdam. I've been to Istanbul's airport, and there's lots of great things that can come to us, and I believe they are.
Thank you so much, Hal. And we are working hard, and you can count on us.
Until next week, have a great week in real estate. See ya.